Okay, so thank you very much, Abner. I'm Ramón Santamaría, Ray, and today I'm gonna talk to you about how I develop a handmade mindset to create Raylib. And well, I will try something a bit different. Actually, the presentation it's program in C. Actually, it's program using Raylib, and I'm gonna compile it live and run it live. So let's start sharing the screen. So wait a second. Okay, you can see it. So here it is, the presentation. It's a C file with the make file. It has some assets. I will open the program. Okay. Here it is, the presentation. Hopefully you can see it. It's all coded in C. You see, it's about 900 lines. So just let me configure the time for the presentation. I put like 40 minutes. Okay. After that time, it will close automatically. No, I'm kidding. So let's compile it. So from the make file. Okay, now you can see here how it's compiled, generated here. It generated the packet data and the HTML, and it's compiled to WebAssembly. And now let's run the presentation live. So, okay, here it is. Let's execute it. Wait a second. Let's put that there. So here we go. Here it is, the presentation running. Again, thanks for joining me in this presentation. Let's start it. So I keep an eye on the chat just in case. Okay. Hopefully you are hearing me now. So yeah, let's start developing a handmade mindset for Raylib. Oh. Yeah. So first, let me introduce myself. I'm an engineer, developer, lecturer. I'm passionate of video game development, and well, a bit about what I've done in the past. I worked on EA for several years as localization and integration engineer. I was mainly developing pipelines and tools to localize several games to the company. After that, I founded Imagine. It was my own startup where I developed and published several games for several platforms or developed from scratch. And about 2 years ago, I created Raylib Technology. I will talk a bit more about that later on, where I developed several handmade tools. Actually, last year I was presenting those tools in Handmade Shuttle, where I had a great time. All those tools are coded in C. Usually, it's a single executable, usually under 1 megabyte, very small. But for the last 8 years, approximately, I've been balancing my work with teaching. I've been working as a lecturer in several universities, also several private institutions in Barcelona. I'm from Barcelona, and always teaching video games development. After my first year of teaching, I created a small C library to help the students to learn video games development. And well, that library is Raylib. About Raylib, well, I can say it's a simple and easy to use library to enjoy video games programming. And I've been working on it for the last 7 years approximately. Actually, this month it's the 7th anniversary of the library since the first release. And I'm planning to do an additional release later on this month. And in the last year, it has become quite popular. It has been used by multiple universities. And 2 years ago, I was awarded with a Google Open Source Peer Bonus for it in 2019. And this last August, I received an epic mega grant for Raylib. Yeah. The truth is that, well, never before I worked on a project for so long, and I couldn't imagine this little weekend project library will get so far. During this time, also, Raylib community has grown a lot with many users, students, hobbyists. Most of them have asked me about it, how I did to create Raylib. Well, from a technical point of view, I still think that Raylib is not that revolutionary. It's code in plain C. It just uses OpenGL for graphics. It tries to keep the code simple, to keep the naming simple. So the question is, what could make Raylib special? Well, for this presentation, I did a personal analysis, actually, and I found some activities that I've been doing for a long time in my life, for more than 20 years, that I really believe made an impact on me and helped me to develop a handmade mindset to later on create Raylib. So in that presentation, I'm going to explain 3 activities to you, why they taught me and how they influence it on Raylib. So let's start. First activity is playing the guitar. So yeah, I play the guitar. Actually, this is my guitar. It's an Ovation Idea. It's a really nice guitar. Learning to play an instrument, it's not easy. Okay, if you play an instrument, you know that it requires a lot of time, training, and the most important thing is commitment. The beginnings are difficult. You don't see immediate results, and things to be moving very slowly. So it requires to keep working on it day after day, and depending on the instrument, it can take years to get some results. I also put that commitment into Raylib. Actually, as I said, I've been working in the library for 7 years now. I estimate that I put to date about 15,000 hours. That's an estimation, but I think it's quite precise. Yeah, that's it. Also, when you keep committed to something for that long, there is a point when the continuous work and training start to give you some results. And reaching that point, it's amazing. You got very engaged with it, and you start feeling an unstoppable curiosity to learn more. I remember looking for guitar tabs for my favorite songs all day, and studying them, trying to play them. Yeah, that's it. Actually, with Raylib also, it was similar. I already had some programming knowledge before, but I start digging in different technologies. I start asking questions, trying to understand how things work inside, investigating other libraries, visiting related webs, forums, looking for other people doing similar things also to learn from them, obviously. Actually, curiosity, it's extremely powerful. And sometimes it could take you to unexpected places, like the Handmade network that I discovered later on, and it was a great discovery. Also, when playing the guitar, if you keep engaged and curious, there could be a point where you decide to jump to a next level and try to create something new. Personally, I start songwriting and singing. Okay. I must say I'm not an expert, not a professional. In my case, writing a song requires a lot of trial and error and a lot of refining. But I found that songwriting is a really, really creative activity, and it really boosted my creativity doing it for a long time. Here you can see me writing some songs. Actually, I always work on paper. I love working on paper always. And yeah, I also released several songs. You can find me on the internet. I compose the songs. I play the songs. I sing. I record. I post produce, and I upload in the internet. So here it is. With Raylib development, it has been very similar to playing the guitar in lots of senses. Actually, since I started, I've been very passionate about the project. I wanted to learn new things, implement new features, new modules, new tools. I had lots of ideas, a lot of things that I want to learn related to the C development and the low-level programming. Yeah, here you can see several tools that I created related to Raylib, several modules. At some point, I even decided to compile all those ideas into a new startup project, and that's how Raylib Technologies born. And yeah, that's it. That's what playing the guitar taught me. Next, cooking. Well, what to say? Cooking is amazing. Actually, this is probably the activity that I've been doing for more time in my life, and I just love cooking. Here in the photo, you can see one of my favorite dishes. It's curried rice. I cook it. I cook it like 2 weeks ago when I started preparing this presentation. It's not a difficult dish to cook, to prepare, but it includes many different ingredients. And yeah, well, it tastes delicious at the end. Well, so in order to cook, the first thing that you need is organization. You have some basic ingredients that you want to turn into a delicious dish, or at least try to. So you need to carefully prepare all the ingredients. You have to clean them up, measure them, slice them. Also, you have to know how every ingredient contributes to the dish. And you always have to choose, you always have or try to choose the best ingredients, if possible, with the minimum processing, coming straight from the yard. That's usually the way to get the best results. That's exactly what I did with Raylib. I've carefully chosen along that time the best ingredients to build a delicious library. Also, when you cook, it's important to care for methodology, the process you follow to elaborate the dish. For this particular dish, I cook the different ingredients separately, and that's because some could require more time, some less time, some could require some technique, other could require a different process. So methodology, it's very important. The same principle also applies to Raylib. Those are in the image, in the slide, you can see the different modules that compose the library. And yeah, I just create them separately, and also to train to make them self-contained, to allow using it in an independent way. if someone wants to use it independently of the full library. With cooking, it's the same. And then it comes the time of mixing. You have to mix the ingredients. You have to connect all the parts. For Raylib, I really put a lot of effort analyzing the different parts and how they fit together and their interdependencies. I will actually talk a bit more about that later on. Here you can see the Raylib architecture. You can see how everything is connected. OpenGL in the lower level, also a math library, RayMath, that can be used independently of Raylib. It's a single header library for math. Also, the audio library can be used independently of Raylib. It's not connected to the other parts. Well, those are the pieces that conform Raylib. And next, presentation. Presentation of your dish is super important. It does not have to be anything fancy, but at least correct and professional if possible. Why? To make it appealing to the possible dinner guest. I really put a lot of care on Raylib presentation. Actually, here you can see my Raylib checklist for every new release with all the elements I take care of before any release. Most of the time, it's a manual process. I try to provide detailed README, changelog, history. On GitHub, I also care for the library setup, testing it in as many as possible, not only the continuous integration system, but also a manual testing. Update, compile, test, examples, the games. Yeah. Also, the installer. I will talk a bit more about the installer in a minute. I have to update the Notepad scripts. I have to update the package, the GCC compiler that is included in the installer. Also take care of the web page and obviously share the new version of Raylib in several networks to let people know that a new version of Raylib has been released. So presentation, it's very important. I also want to remark one extra point here, and that's it. So something that makes this dish, that makes the curried rice very special, and it's the ease of use. Curried rice, it's very easy to eat. You only need a fork. Actually, that's it. No need to worry about adding, removing, cutting, cleaning elements. No, it can be easily consumed in minutes. And I think that's a key factor, and also for Raylib. Raylib, it's prepared to be consumed easily. Actually, I distribute it with an installer that once download, only requires, to install Raylib, it only requires 5 mouse clicks. And once you run the Notepad, the integrated editor, it's only 2K press to have your first program compiled and running. And I think that's super important. So yeah, that's it, cooking. And finally, the third activity, it's probably the least common one, is tree pruning. So, well, in my hometown, I got a small piece of land with several trees. I have fig, apricot, persimmon trees that maybe you can see in the background, but most of the trees are olive trees. Well, olive trees are just amazing. They can live more than 1,000 years with minimum care, actually. But from time to time, you have to prune them. Pruning a tree, it's a very interesting activity. You can prune a tree for multiple reasons, for aesthetics, for maintenance, for production. I mainly prune my olive trees for maintenance, but also to produce olive oil that I use for cooking. The first requirement to prune a tree is understanding. You need to understand how a tree works. The process goes as follows. Actually, it's not that complicated. The roots take the nutrients from the ground. The raw sap moves from the roots of the tree to the different branches and leaves, where, thanks to the light of the sun, photosynthesis happens and it generates the elaborated sap that is then distributed all around the tree, including the fruits, in this case, the olives. In a similar way with Raylib, I try to understand how everything works, how all pieces fit together, and the connection between them. Actually, I try to understand how the data flows inside the library. Here you can see one of my documents. I have multiple documents and tables doing my reviews of the library. And in this one, I was checking how every module was connected. So you can see how every module depends on the other modules, what functions depend on what functions. There are some modules that don't depend on anything. Actually, trying to do a deeper analysis of Raylib, trying to have a deeper understanding. I even analyze what was the dependency of Raylib with the libc, which modules were using libc, what functions exactly were, in what way. So yeah, I did that process of understanding. So once you know how the trick works, you can think that a good approach to pruning could be trying to minimize the sap movement and trying to maximize the sunlight reaching the leaves. Actually, that's a good approximation, but when it comes to time of pruning, there are also other considerations, and you need to be very careful because a bad decision can actually kill the tree. It's important to analyze the state of the tree. The branches that are close to the root, those are the branches that are taking more resources, more immediate resources from the tree. Also, you have to check the branches blocking the sun in the middle of the tree, the leaves. Also, it's key to be very careful with the cut. When cutting some branch, you can damage the tree if not done properly. You have to be careful with the falling branches. They can hit your head or break other parts of the tree. The balance of the full tree, even the aesthetics maybe, and well, also the moment of the year when you do the prune. Actually, it's around January when you can do the olive tree pruning. Well, the point is that it really requires a lot of care for detail. It's easy to see new branches that grow very fast and strongly, but sometimes they are not the best for the tree because they take a lot of energy, actually a lot of resources of the tree, and in the long term, they could be very difficult to maintain. With Raylib, it works the same way. Here you can see some of the latest reviews I did to the library to try to reduce the number of branches in some way. Or here, trying to understand all the data that is used by the library inside and try to compile that data in a context with a format of struct of structs and organizing that data properly for better understanding. So I said with Raylib, it works the same way. When adding or removing or modifying Raylib parts, I always think about how those new changes will impact the library, how much resources will be required to support them, to maintain them, to grow them. Yeah. In that sense, with Raylib, I've always tried to be conservative. I prefer a small tree, well-maintained, that can live for a long time, than a big tree requiring lots of resources that can eventually die. So, also it's important to note that more resources do not mean better results. Actually, in the case of the olive trees, uh, if you water the olive trees more, you will probably get bigger olives, but it does not mean more olive oil. It actually means more water in the olives, but less olive oil. So, yeah, I keep those things in mind when developing Raylib. But actually, the truth is that I I always have in mind my olive trees when adding, removing, doing changes in Raylib. Okay, so what else? Well, at the very end, it requires taking some decisions. So you have to take decisions. In that case, I analyzed the tree, and with all the detail, I thought that those branches could be just removed. And yeah, after that, as you can see, there is less branches in the tree, so the sap could move uh, more freely. And also there is more light of the sun reaching the leaves, so that tree can increase production. As I said, it requires taking some decisions and waiting for the results. Results could require time, sometimes a lot of time. So another important lesson you learn when dealing with trees, and that's a very important lesson, it's patience. Most of the time, you don't know at the first sign if the decisions taken are the best ones or not for the tree. Maybe a branch just dries after 1 year, or maybe the olive production gets reduced, or you can even have years with no production at all. So patience is a must. In many ways, well, here it's the final result if everything works. And yeah, in many ways, I also put a lot of patience on Raylib for more than 7 years now. And yeah, that's it. So how we develop a handmade mindset? Well, here you have those three activities that are part of my life. I've been doing them. I'm still doing them for more than 20 years now, and they taught me some important lessons that are, for example, playing the guitar taught me to have commitment, curiosity, creativity. Cooking taught me organization, methodology, presentation, and finally, tree pruning taught me understanding, care for detail, and patience. And I think all those elements are very, very important for programming. So, jumping to the conclusions, just some quick points to conclude it. First point is that here you can see there are multiple activities that can help you to build a handmade mindset to be a better coder. I really believe on that. that at the end, your personal life activities are really, really related on the way that you end up coding and the way that you end up facing problems. And one last thought, that whatever you do, well, enjoy the process, that's key. And be curious. Curiosity is a super powerful element. So, well, it was so fast. Actually, I planned it to take longer than that, but that's it. Thank you very much for listening. Hope you enjoy the presentation. Hope you learn something new, at least a new dish or how to prune a tree. And feel free to write me or ask me anything, or just ask me for the full recipe for the curry rice, whatever. And finally, I just want to thank Abner and all the Handmade Settle organization for giving me the opportunity to present, and to the Handmade community for being a source of inspiration. So thank you very much. And yeah, that's it.
Let's just talk about that experience of like making this presentation. Why did you decide to do that? Was it to, have some fun with the handmade approach there?
I try to think what take me to put that much of that time in Raylib and that much effort in Raylib for 7 years. As I said, I've never been doing that for that time, and I tried to find elements in my life that actually shape my mind to be able to do that. And I really think that those activities, those hobbies that are an important part in my life, actually define the way that I do things when I code. The way that I create things, the way that I organize things, the way I understand how things work. At the very end, a lot of parts of your life is what make a mark on you and define how you behave in different situations. And yeah, I think that it was interesting to just note that in that presentation. I try to do something different that the expected maybe technical presentation about elements in Raylib that I think are not that interesting, like as could be interesting to understand the mind behind it. So not sure if I'm exactly answering your question.
Are you seeing things in the chat? Any questions you want to take a look at yourself and answer? There's no rush. We have time.
Yeah. Let me see, because I have it in the mobile. Okay. Someone is asking about my favorite simple recipe. I like rice and pasta. Oh yeah, Seth. That's a very good question. He's asking, would you say this connection between handmade coding plus the aspects of your life has been something you were aware of before this talk, or was it something that was in the back of your mind and when preparing this talk it became clear? Yes, that's it. So actually, it was something that was in the back of my mind, and when I decided to do presentation, I started thinking about it and trying to go, let's say, low level on my mind to see how it was possible that I had put so much elements in Raylib that made it special in some way. And yeah, it was kind of an introspective analysis, and that's how I created it. Oh yeah, Benji Pitt, it's saying that regarding pruning, I guess you could say that you prune code when refactoring and simplifying. Can you be more concrete about how you do that? Maybe give an example. Yeah, for example, there is something that I've been doing lately. I was refactoring some pieces of code to access to control the frame buffers to allow the frame buffer objects to have frame buffer objects with multiple attachments. Actually, Raylib is implementing inside a lot of functionality to render PBR. Actually, most of the functionality comes from Learn OpenGL, but it's inside Raylib. There are a series of functions to generate the different kinds of maps that are required: the environment map, the cube maps, the BRDF. Well, and it's inside Raylib. For example, I don't want that piece of code to be inside Raylib. I think it requires a lot of effort to maintain them, to take care of them. They require some specific shaders. I think that part could be taken out from Raylib to the user side. For example, I've been doing a lot of work on that side to try to simplify that and just expose some basic API for the creation of the frame buffer objects and the attachments to those objects. So the user have more flexibility and have more options to do that and do not depend on a specific way of doing things provided by Raylib. Yeah, I hope I answer your question, maybe.
Yeah. We still have time for more questions. There are more people asking you questions. I don't know if you have the energy to answer them. For example, somebody's asking, Ilya, how did you sustain motivation while working full-time on an open source project for 7 years? So tell us, how did you keep that motivation going?
Wow, that's a good question. Actually, I don't know. Well, I think that at first, motivation was about learning new things, just about learning, and also seeing the students use it. Because where students were giving me feedback all the time about the library, and I really wanted to understand things and learn new things and go low level. Yeah, I think I'm just motivated. Right now, maybe motivation decreased a bit, but everything that I've done in the last 2 years with Raylib technologies has been kind of moving my motivation from Raylib to another related field, that is tools creation, how tools work, what kind of interesting tools I can create. Yeah, I just like it. That's it. I also have to say that I'm very passionate with the things that I like. For example, with the guitar. Well, I was playing the guitar. Now I'm not playing that much, but at the beginning I was playing it lots of hours every day. Even there was 1 year of my life that I decided to compose one song every week. And I was creating, composing, singing, recording one song every week for, it was not the full year, but it lasted until September or something like that. So yeah, it was kind of crazy. So maybe I'm too motivated with the things that I like sometimes.
I think we have time for one more question. There's more questions, but you can take them on your own in the chat, right? So yeah, let's ask one more question. Somebody's asking Raul um, whether making Raylib multi-platform like the hardest thing. Was that the hardest part of like Raylib, making it multi-platform?
Well, the first time that you try to support a second platform, it's difficult because you have to you are used to work on one platform, and for at least for me it was difficult because there was a lot of concepts that I did not understand. Um, for example, you were before asking um, about how you create the connection with the window and the OpenGL in every platform. That's different because those are platform things. And at first it's very difficult. But once you have created, you have learned about a second platform, how things work, and then a third platform, you see that there is always a lot of similarities. There is a platform layer there that it's about well, the graphic device connection or creating the window or the input or the storage. So there is a base layer that it's the only thing that changed from platform to platform. I remember that the more difficult platform to support for me by a lot of margin was the Android. Android was, wow, I remember being there lots of hours, driving me crazy. But after that, when you have the concepts clear, it's just changing a kind of a base layer with some elements, and yeah, and connecting things. That's it.
Ray, you have no idea. The chat is crazy with your talk. They loved absolutely everything, except especially the cooking, the guitar music, and the way you made those analogies and hooked it back to the handmade mindset. So thank you for this talk. Please go to the chat, enjoy yourself. Lots of comments from people right now.
Okay, thank you very much, Amner.